look at the compass, look at the target, and put it down. Don't read it. I literally just need you to, okay, just check the block that you did it. I already gave you the degrees, all right? You just check the block. So number 2, free go. All right, number 3, you're gonna use your mill relation formula to find the distance to your enemy. All right, this is your mill relation formula right here. Distance equals 25.4 times the size of the target in inches, which is given to you. And then you're going to divide it by the width of the target in mils. When you look through your binos, what it looks like is it has a reticle in it. All right, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, from all directions. Each individual number that you see is actually 10 mils. All right, so the big ones that have the individual numbers that you see are 10. Okay, so 10, 20, 30, so on and so forth. Your half lines go by 5. So 5, then 10, 15, so on and so forth. All right, when I want you to measure your target, you will place the target in the upper right quadrant. Put the crosshairs on the left side here and see where it reads. Can anyone tell me what the size of this target is?
20 mils.
20 mils. All right.
You'll read it as 20.
So we've been stomping our foot over and over and people still aren't getting it. So now I've gotten to the point where I'm just going to tell you the answer. All right, test date. And now if you look at every single target out there, troops or tank, it will be 5 mils. All right, it will be 5 mils. If you are 1 mil off, for some reason you read it as 4 mils instead of 5 mils, you'll be 350 meters off and you'll be wrong. All right,
It's not going to be given to you on the sheets. So it's a piece of free chicken that we're giving you.
Just make sure that you remember it. And I promise you, if you do look and you take your time to look at it, it will be 5 mils. But anyways, all right. To do so, he's going to take 25. He's going to write down his formula. All right, so the formula will not be given to you. So highly suggest also come test day that you immediately write it down once your time starts so you don't forget it. 25.4 times his size in inches. His enemy is the tank, which is 155 inches. And he's going to divide it by the width, which we told you is 5. He's going to use the calculator provided to him, and he's going to multiply and then divide by 5. Which is giving him 787.4 meters. All right, you have fat markers here. We suggest that you bring superfine markers if you have them, but all we have available are medium markers, okay? So that being said, when you plot, sometimes it is difficult to put 787 meters, so it is fine to round that nearest 100, all right? In this case, being 800 meters.
You have that 250 meter buffer zone, so it's a lot bigger than you think.
All right, next. As you can read on the boards here or in your handbooks, it does not state determining your OT factor. It states that under the adjust fire section. But we highly suggest that you do it during your 3-minute timer so that you're not wasting time during a 45-second timer. All right, so to determine your OT factor, you're going to take the distance which you just found, you're going to divide it by 1,000. All right, or you could just move the decimal place 3 points to the left. In this case, it would give you 0.8. 0.8, we round to the nearest whole number on your OT factor. That being said, 0 to 1499 will put you at an OT factor of 1, so on and so forth. 15, 24.99, you get the picture. All right, next, after you've done that, you have a spot here during train up to write down your OT factor. I highly suggest you write down your OT factor so you remember to use it later on when you have to. Next, you're gonna find an 8-digit grid to the enemy. Everything here is attention to detail. If you give me a 10-digit grid, you will be a no-go. All right, 8-digit grid.
First thing I'm gonna do is find my grid azimuth, right? I was provided the enemy's magnetic azimuth, and so to plot it, I'm gonna add the GM angle. On the maps that you use on test day, which is the same as these, the GM angle says 9.5, but go ahead and use 9. Do 66 degrees plus 9 equals 75 degrees for your grid azimuth. Next, take your protractor and center it on your position. And make sure the protractor is not flipped and it's not tilted at all. I'm gonna look for 75 degrees, which is these inner numbers here. I see 75, I'll make a small dot. I'll use that dot to help me make a line from my position to it. And see. No, that's fine. We know the enemy is somewhere along this azimuth. Next, we have our distance, which we found earlier. So we're going to go along this azimuth using the appropriate scale. We're going to go 800 meters up, which in this case is just the 8. So I'm going to make a dot there. I'm going to go ahead and make a little box around it. That is the enemy's position and the grid that we need to write down. Next, we need to write down our grid zone identifier. We won't find it on the map, so refer to your location, and it says it's Echo Juliet. Next, we're going to write down the grid square, which in this case is 0 Fowler 77. And remember, we need an 8-digit grid. So, using the right scale, we'll go right and up from the bottom left. I'll go right. It's like 4, 4. Write that down here. Then up. It's like 7, 6. I now have the enemy's grid, and because I didn't write it earlier, I'm gonna write down the target description, which in this case is a what? The tank, enemy tank. Tank is just fine. I now have everything I need to call up the mission.
All right, so I'll backtrack real quick. To initiate your time, directly following task condition standards brought out to you guys, what will happen is, since you already identified your lane, and during your task condition standards, you will identify whether or not you have a target of a tank or troops. Your grader will then ask you, do you identify your target? You pick up your binos, you'll look out there, and you'll identify in your lane your target, i.e. in this case, and highly probable on test day, your tank is in the top left quadrant and your troops are in the bottom right. Okay, so when you pick up your binos, you tell me, I ask you, do you identify your target? You tell me, yes, I identify my target. You can put your binos down. I'm gonna show you all zeros, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, to stop it, you do all this math, and then you have to call up this entire thing, which is what he is about to do.
Picking up the mic and remembering to say all my phonetics, and no, I don't need to say breaks at all. Let's read the script. Cacti fires, this is Cacti 1. Adjust fire, over.
Go for it.
Grid, Echo Juliet, 0, Fowler, 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 7, 7, 7, 6. Distance, 800 meters. Direction, 6, 6 degrees. Target description, enemy tank, over.
And that's when your 3 minutes would stop. Okay? I don't know if he mentioned it, but when it comes to your direction, the direction you are writing down / calling up for your 3 minutes is the direction that we gave you, not the grid azimuth to which you do on your map. All right? A lot of people keep messing that up, so I just thought I'd put that out there. All right, so once your 3 minutes stops, grader will come up, he'll check all your work. All right, you're good to go. At this point, you'll pick up your binos and secure your hand mic, and he will announce to send that first round by saying shot over,
Shot out.
splash over.
Splash out.
All right, as you saw, when I would say shot over, he'd say shot out, and I say splash over, but then he waits for the round to impact. The tip of the stick is your round being impacted. You have to wait until it hits the board, then you say splash out. It's the closest thing we can get to realism, all right? Following that, he's then going to look into his binos to get ready to make his first adjustment. His first adjustment is going to be a left and right adjustment, followed by an add or drop of 400 meters, all right? To do so, he's gonna put the reticle dead center of the enemy. He's going to look to see where the round impacted, and this tank is up and left. So the round impacted low right. Boom. What do you see?
Lines up with a 1.
So it lines up with the 1. 1 is what?
10 meters.
10 mils. All right. So his first adjustment will be left 10, add 400, over. That's all he's got to say. All right. So you don't have to add mils. You don't have to add meters. You start with your left and right adjustment, followed by your add or drop, depending on whether the round is below or above.
And don't forget to multiply your left and right reading for your mils by your OT factor. In this case, it's 1. So 10 multiplied by 1 would be 10. But come test day, just probably not going to be 1. I'm not completely sure. So get in the habit of multiplying your OT factor by your left and right mill readings. And that's the only thing that you're going to be using to measure. You're not going to be measuring up and down, your adds and drops. It's always going to start with add or drop 400, and so on and so forth. That's what you have to say right there.
The one part about it too is when you don't multiply your OT factor, say your OT factor happened to be 2, right? Which would then put you at a left 2-0 in this case, right? We can tell based on where he's pointed what around it should be at. So if your OT factor is at 2, I know nothing that you're going to call up is going to be less than 2-0 for the most part, right? So if you don't call up 2-0, he is not going to get you in line. So you will have to call another adjustment of left and right because you're still not in line with the target. Does that make sense? All right. As well, you will get one opportunity only. If for some reason you have a brain fart, and in this case his is low right, and you decide to drop instead of add, he will also drop you. All right, there is only one way to fix that, and that's on your next round. The only way to do that is to double it, and you're going to add 800 on that next one to correct it. Then from there you can go drop 200, 100, so on and so forth. Got it? All right. So we're going to go through the entire thing, and then you can ask any questions directly after.
All right. Left 1-0, add 400, over.
Left 1-0, add 400, shot over.
Shot out,
Splash over.
splash out. Drop 200, over.
Drop 200, shot over.
Shot out,
Splash over.
splash out. Add 100, over.
Add 100, shot over.
Shot out,
Splash over.
splash out. Drop 5-0, fire for effect, over.
Drop 5-0, fire for effect, shot over.
Shot out,
Splash over.
splash out.
All right, directly following that round. All right, so for each adjustment, once a round impacts, you have 45 seconds to make that correction. So plenty of time, all right?
Basically, once you say splash out.
Yep, splash out hits, boom, 45 seconds starts. You have 45 seconds to add or drop, make your left and right adjustment. Once the next round hits, a new 45 seconds starts. All right, once that fire for effect hits, you have a 30-second timer to announce.
End of mission, target destroyed, over.
All right, if you read the book or this board, it says an example of end of mission, target destroyed, estimated 2 casualties, over. I don't care about your full-on BDA. All you have to say is end of mission, target destroyed, over. If you do not say over, your time will continue to go, and I will tell you, you still have time remaining until you end that transmission with over. All right? Any questions?